6 years ago, Goo Se Ra stood in the middle of a crowd, filled with rage. She was involved in a physical confrontation with a group of people who were bullying her, but she didn't back down at all. Among them, a larger man threatened her with harsh words, trying to assert his dominance in the situation. However, Goo Se Ra boldly challenged him, unafraid to face the larger force. Meanwhile, a younger, weaker man tried to de-escalate the situation, even offering an apology. But for Goo Se Ra, this wasn't about an apology. Reflecting on the violence she had already faced, she felt no need to show any weakness. In her mind, she was ready to face whatever came next, even if her opponents were far stronger. With a gaze full of resolve and disdain, she was prepared to defend herself without fear. The chaos around Goo Se Ra intensifies as one of the men angrily approaches her. He threatens her with harsh words, claiming she won't make it out alive. But suddenly, a familiar voice calls her name, making Se Ra's heart race. Seo Jun appears, rushing through the crowd swiftly, determined to protect her from the incoming threat. As the man prepares to strike, Seo Jun doesn't hesitate for a second, throwing the first powerful punch directly at his opponent's face. The speed and decisiveness of Seo Jun escalate the tension in the room. Se Ra, shocked by everything unfolding before her, can only shout his name. In the midst of the chaos, they are reunited, though the situation is still charged with danger and uncertainty. After the intense fight, the atmosphere starts to settle. However, Goo Se Ra still feels a lingering unease in her heart. Amid the chaos, a gentle hand rests on her shoulder. It's Seo Jun, calmly assuring her not to worry. Even though her vision is blurry from exhaustion and pain, she feels a sense of calm from his presence. On that day, as the world seemed to spin around her, Seo Jun smiled at her. A genuine smile, filled with peace, as if telling her that everything would be okay. In an instant, all the fear that had once gripped her disappeared, replaced by an unspoken sense of comfort. Amidst the returning calm of the classroom, there is one scene that shows Seo Jun being surrounded by a few students, who seem to be trying to humiliate him. The student mocks Seo Jun, who looks cornered and helpless. One of the larger students roughly tugs at Seo Jun's clothes, intensifying the pressure already clearly visible on his face. Despite the situation being overwhelming, Seo Jun continues to hold his ground, though there's an unmistakable expression of embarrassment and confusion on his face. Around him, some other students just watch, either indifferent or even complicit in the bullying. However, in the midst of the crowd, Goo Se Ra, quietly observing, feels a rising urge to act. Her desire to protect Seo Jun flares up, even though she knows there will be consequences. The chaos reaches its peak as Seo Jun, previously cornered, suddenly senses something off about the situation. A loud scream escapes his mouth, unable to comprehend what's happening. The other students around him are stunned by the unexpected turn of events. The larger man holding him winces in pain, while Seo Jun, trapped beneath him, struggles to hold back the pain. Amid the uproar, it's clear that Goo Se Ra can no longer control her anger. With a face filled with rage, she steps forward decisively. Her bravery shifts the dynamics in the room. She is no longer someone who just stands by, but someone ready to crush anyone who dares to stand in her way. The tension in the room rises, and everyone knows Goo Se Ra is absolutely furious. The chaos in the classroom suddenly halts as an unexpected surprise unfolds in the middle of the turmoil. Goo Se Ra, who had appeared so enraged, turns out to be part of a much bigger plan. She seems momentarily calm, even smiling proudly after successfully pulling off the surprise. A hidden camera, placed in the corner of the room, reveals everything. It turns out that she wasn't just confronting the violence but also using the moment as part of her plan to humiliate those who had tormented her. The students who had previously been involved in the commotion are now left speechless, while others awkwardly watch. All of this is for one purpose, to teach a lesson to those who thought they were stronger. Behind Goo Se Ra's victorious smile, there's a sense that this is just the beginning of a bigger change to come. After the surprise revelation, the tension in the classroom starts to ease. The students, who had previously been involved in the commotion, are now silent, their faces clearly showing embarrassment. One of the larger students, seemingly the one who had been the most aggressive, looks slightly confused but finally releases his hold on Seo Jun. With a regretful expression, he apologizes to Seo Jun, admitting that he couldn't control his strength. Goo Se Ra, who has been observing all of this, remains composed, a faint smile appearing on her face. All eyes are now on them, and while the situation has begun to calm, the tension between the students and Goo Se Ra is still palpable. This hidden camera surprise has delivered a lesson that won't be easily forgotten, but Seo Jun and Goo Se Ra's journey is just beginning. Seo Jun's presence at Kangsan High has truly changed everything. After the major surprise he experienced, as time passes, he starts to adapt to the new dynamics at the school. However, there's something that catches him off guard. It turns out that the figure who has been overseeing all of this, who had appeared to be just a new teacher, actually has a very close connection with Goo Se Ra. No one expected that beneath his simple appearance, he harbored such a powerful background. The students who once underestimated Seo Jun are now beginning to think twice. Meanwhile, Goo Se Ra remains the main focus, with all the surprises and decisiveness she continues to show. As Seo Jun looks at the school, confused, he realizes that he still doesn't fully understand what's truly happening in this school. The long journey full of surprises and challenges has only just begun. After going through unexpected events, Seo Jun now finds himself in a situation that's becoming increasingly confusing. His expression, filled with bewilderment and exhaustion, shows that he's starting to feel burdened by everything that's happening in this school. In a laboratory room, a teacher is visibly shocked by everything happening around him, while the students don't seem surprised by the chaos. Seo Jun senses the tension among them, but there's an underlying feeling of anxiety he can't shake off. He even begins to wonder whether this is truly a high school, considering the turmoil that seems more fitting for a place full of rebels. As he tries to stay focused, another harsh reality hits him, leaving Seo Jun in silence, uncertain about what's to come. Seo Jun, trying to grasp the situation around him, feels uneasy and confused by everything happening. As he interacts with some individuals, they make odd remarks, almost mocking or commenting on the state of the school. Seo Jun tries to remain calm despite the overwhelming atmosphere. In the classroom, as the lesson continues, he senses an escalating tension. The students seem engrossed in their activities, yet there's an awkwardness in the air, as if something bigger is about to explode. Seo Jun calmly shares how great his first day was, masking the reality he experienced in class. His fellow teachers look puzzled by his overly positive remarks, fully aware of Kangsan High's notorious reputation for chaos. Meanwhile, the classroom atmosphere is filled with intimidation. The students show no respect for the teacher giving a lecture. But Seo Jun stays composed. At that moment, Goo Se Ra steps out of class. A student tries to stop or call out to her, but is silenced by a cold, piercing look from Se Ra. Her presence alone is enough to keep him at bay. After the incident in the classroom, Se Ra storms off through the hallway, frustrated that she nearly lost control. She realizes how close she was to exposing her real intentions and background in front of the other students. To calm herself, she heads toward the vending machines. Suddenly, someone taps her on the shoulder. She quickly turns around and sees a familiar figure standing there, holding a can of soda, Seo Jun. Their eyes meet, heavy with unspoken memories from the past, hinting at a deeper connection between them. In a quiet corner of the school courtyard, Seo Jun invites Se Ra to sit and talk. They reflect on the past, bitter memories surrounding Seo Jun's sudden departure after receiving his military enlistment notice. Se Ra had felt abandoned, with no explanation and no proper goodbye. Seo Jun explains that circumstances at the time didn't allow him to say farewell properly. He apologizes sincerely, acknowledging the long years that had passed between them. Se Ra looks upset, but there's a hint of longing too. A moment of silence hangs in the air until Seo Jun gently pats her head with a smile. He realizes that the young girl he once knew has grown into a strong and mature woman. Two students observe from a distance as Seo Jun and Se Ra sit and talk. They gossip, linking the pair's conversation to their school's notorious past. Meanwhile, Se Ra gazes silently at the soda can in her hand, her thoughts clouded with unresolved memories and confusion. She seems unsettled but tries to compose herself. Seo Jun calmly reassures her, explaining that his return to the school isn't just for training, he already had a place to stay. To Se Ra's surprise, that place is her own house. Her eyes widen in disbelief, a mix of shock and awkward joy blooming on her face. In the final panel, they are seen sharing a quiet meal together at home, an unexpected moment of warmth in contrast to the chaos of the earlier school day. Se Ra is stunned by the news that Seo Jun will be staying at her house again, just like 6 years ago. Memories flood her mind, and while she tries to stay composed, her heart clearly hasn't moved on. Seo Jun, calm and sincere, expresses hope that they can live together comfortably again, smiling in a way that reflects unchanged feelings from the past. As the sun sets, the narration confirms Goo Se Ra, 16 years old, has reunited with her first love, and they will now be living under the same roof. In the quiet of the evening, a cat is seen moving around inside the house, adding a touch of warmth and domesticity. It's a peaceful return to a home filled with memories, marking the start of a new chapter in their intertwined lives. At night, the house is dimly lit by the glow of the television. Se Ra's father, Gu Ryang-hak, is lying on the floor watching TV in a living room cluttered with traditional wrestling gear. Introduced as an undefeated legend in the world of Sereum, he boasts an impressive record of 375 wins out of 381 matches, a giant of the past now spending his days at home. When Se Ra finally returns home late, her father greets her casually. However, her glaring eyes and the ominous aura surrounding her suggest irritation rather than warmth. The reason becomes clear: her father cheerfully announces that dinner is watermelon and pork, a combination that hints at a familiar, chaotic domestic life that hasn't changed over the years. After returning home, Seo Jun inadvertently walks in on a chaotic scene, Se Ra violently arguing with her father and landing a heavy kick on his legs, knocking him over. The atmosphere is nothing short of wild, and as Seo Jun enters with his suitcase, he quickly realizes what kind of home he'll be living in. Later that night, Seo Jun and Se Ra stand quietly together on the rooftop under a luminous, star-filled sky. The moment is calm and peaceful, contrasting starkly with the earlier commotion. They talk, reflecting on memories of the past. Seo Jun smiles warmly, expressing how the breathtaking night view reminds him of the cherished moments they used to share. The sparkling cityscape below, bathed in moonlight, sets the scene for a nostalgic and gentle reunion between two people with a deep, shared history. Under a starry night sky, Se Ra gazes at Seo Jun with a soft smile, expressing how happy she is to see him again. She shows her pride in his progress toward becoming a teacher. Seo Jun smiles back warmly, thanking her for her kind words. Standing side by side, the serenity of the rooftop sets the stage for a quiet reconnect. Looking out into the distance, Seo Jun breaks the silence to apologize for disappearing without a word years ago. Despite her composed exterior, Se Ra's thoughts betray her admiration. She finds herself stunned by how handsome he's become. With a sincere expression, Seo Jun promises that he'll never leave again without saying goodbye. In the stillness of the night, Seo Jun opens up about why he came back to Kangsan High. He explains that, to officially become a teacher, he needs to complete a training program, and Kangsan was the only school that accepted him right away. Looking at the stars, he confesses that failure in this program could mean giving up on his dream, especially since his parents oppose his decision. Se Ra is visibly shaken by his words. The thought that Seo Jun's hard work might be wasted stirs something inside her. Her expression turns serious, filled with concern and a silent vow not to let his efforts go in vain. With a warm smile, Seo Jun gently pats Se Ra's head, assuring her not to worry. He declares with determination that he'll definitely become an amazing teacher. Grateful for her concern, he thanks Se Ra, then looks out over the night sky, expressing how lucky he feels to have come to Kangsan High. He believes the students are kind and the atmosphere supportive. But deep down, Se Ra knows better. She silently reflects that Kangsan High is actually a notorious nightmare, a school with one of the worst reputations in the region. Despite this harsh truth, Se Ra remains quiet, resolved to protect Seo Jun from the reality he has yet to face. With a heartfelt smile, Se Ra makes a silent vow to protect Seo Jun's dream. Looking over the glittering night city, she promises herself that she'll ensure he becomes the amazing teacher he aspires to be, no matter the obstacles. The next morning, Seo Jun wakes up and walks downstairs from the upper floor of the house. He seems surprised to find the place quiet, realizing Se Ra has already left for school. He quietly wonders how kids these days manage to leave so early. The calm house reflects a quiet beginning to a new chapter and the weight of unspoken resolve. That morning, the students were gathered in the school courtyard, many of them visibly annoyed and confused about the early assembly. Amid murmurs and grumbling, they stood with no choice but to obey the call. Footsteps echoed confidently through the scene, revealing Se Ra stepping forward with firm resolve. Her commanding presence and no-nonsense demeanor made it clear she was in charge now. The students realized, whether they liked it or not, they had to do what Se Ra told them to. That was simply the way to survive here. With a firm gaze and a voice full of conviction, Se Ra stood before the notorious delinquents of Kangsan High, a school known for its chaos and unruly students. She boldly declared that the chance of a trainee teacher surviving at a place like this was 0%. But she wasn't about to let that happen. Realizing that if things continued this way, Se Jun's training would be ruined, and his dream of becoming a teacher crushed, Se Ra made a decisive vow: from that day onward, Kangsan High would be reformed. With fearless resolve, she proclaimed her mission to change the school, starting with a shocking new rule: for 4 weeks, no fighting would be allowed anywhere on school grounds. Se Ra continued her declaration by laying down strict rules: no drinking, no smoking, no swearing, and no public urination. Every action deemed unfit for a student would now be forbidden. She declared that from this day forward, Kangsan High would become a model school, and every obstacle that could block Se Jun from reaching his dream would be removed, by her own hands. With a firm and unwavering stance, she asked the crowd if there were any objections. The delinquents burst out laughing, mocking her ambition. But Se Ra remained unfazed, her resolve was unshakable. Se Ra made her point with a bang, slamming her foot into the school wall and leaving a massive crack behind. The entire schoolyard froze in shock as students stared, stunned. The mocking laughter stopped. With eyes burning with determination, she repeated her question: did anyone have objections? Meanwhile, Se Jun watched from afar, holding a soda can, visibly moved by Se Ra's resolve. He realized that his dream of becoming an amazing teacher now had a fierce guardian. Standing firmly atop the platform, Se Ra issued a bold challenge: if you have something to say, come up here. With blazing eyes and a blooded fist, Se Ra makes her vow crystal clear: she will do whatever it takes to help Se Jun achieve his dream of becoming an amazing teacher. Her final words resound with unshakable resolve: I'm gonna fucking help you achieve it. Se Ra isn't just an old friend, she's now Se Jun's fiercest protector in the toughest school around.